It's Thursday. It's noon. It's time for closers. I am James the Greek, and with me, as always, the King, David Aardsma. DA, how are you, buddy?
Hold on one second. I'm texting.
Oh no.
Oh, we're doing this. Oh, we're live. Oh, what's up? How you doing? I texted my wife. Just texting fun stuff back and forth.
So you were sexting your wife, is what you're saying?
I said, when you're married for what, 16, 17 years, is it even sexting at this point? It's like,
was it dirty stuff?
It's setting a schedule. It's what's up? 9:30 tonight. What are you doing?
Oh God,
laundry. Oh,
wandering.
Laundry. No,
laundry.
you do laundry as a married couple. That's what you do. We don't just wander. It's not New York. We don't just get to wander the streets and just walk around like you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yes. I loved just walking down, like 10 o'clock, whatever, just going down, just walking the street. I always loved it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that in Manhattan anymore.
Well, yeah, because that's your choice, though. Down here, we're still safe.
Well, it's getting a little safer now that some people are getting booted out of the state. Anyhow, how are you doing?
Doing good. It is cold. It is not fun. Spring training's supposed to be warm. It was the Waste Management Phoenix Open last weekend, and that was fun and out of control. And as it always is, 70s, 80s. It was amazing. Today is like 50. Like, this sucks. This is the worst part of the spring training is you show up way too damn early. You got to go out there for stretch and stuff. The sun's not even up some of the time, and it's just miserable. Spring training makes no sense to me. Why we get these guys there so early in the day, and then we never do that. We never do that, and it's like some old people running spring training. Old men are running spring training and setting up old man schedules. And then we oh, cool, April 1st. Oh, by the way, it's a 7 o'clock game. Don't show up to the field till 2 o'clock. No earlier than 2 o'clock, come to the field. And it's like, oh, great. We've been training you at 6 a.m. every single day up until now. But now we're somehow supposed to schedule something different, do different. It makes no sense. You're not – it's old people running it. Get some young people who are actually players. The players should set the schedule. We show up at 3 p.m. We're good. We go golf in the morning.
So I just heard you bitching and moaning about the schedule in spring training and having to wake up early to make millions of dollars to play a game. Is that basically what you were saying?
You don't get paid for spring training.
You get paid to be a baseball player. That's part of it. I don't want to hear that crap.
You got to make the roster. Got to make that roster for everybody but the guaranteed guys. You still got to make that roster, man. You don't get paid a dime for spring training. They give you some meal money. For showing up, but usually you got to rent a place or get a hotel for a month and a half or 2 months, meals and stuff, anything away from the field you're paying for, and so you're paying to be miserable. Oh, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm bitching and moaning. It doesn't make sense to me. The schedule doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to play 7 o'clock games during the season, at least have these guys showing up a little later, like what it would be for a day game. You show up at 10.
I understand everything you said, and it makes all the sense in the world what you're saying, but you're still bitching about having to get up and play baseball.
I'm not bitching about it. No. I'm bitching that it makes no sense. Well, if you were a restaurateur, just like you are, you're a restaurateur, and you're running a restaurant, and you don't open till 7 p.m. Let's just throw that out there. You don't open till 7 p.m. Would you have your cook and all of your crew and everybody getting there at 6:30 in the morning to prep for 2 months at 6:30 in the morning, leaving at noon and knowing nothing, and then all of a sudden opening night, you're going to have your first night, then you just nope, come here at 7.
Listen, the old men set it up so that they have some time in the evening to enjoy themselves. Because don't forget, old people, the people that you're talking about that run this thing, okay? They wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, they get breakfast at 5, and then they go to sleep by 7. That's my point. They don't want to be inconvenienced for you.
That's my whole point. Is the people are running on their schedule and not on a realistic schedule to what these players go through throughout the year. You're
Okay,
there for 6 months. You're doing nothing like this, but then for 2 months before that, we're like, you know what? We're gonna get you ready for the season, get you going, and completely do something different.
All right, you've been to how many spring trainings? You've been to so
Way
many
too
different
many.
teams. I was actually looking at David Aardsma jerseys, and there was just you in every jersey under the sun. So tell me the process. What is it like? How do you get started going to spring training? What do you have to do? What happens?
Obviously, it starts months in advance, right? It's months in advance where you're prepping, you're getting ready, you're getting ready for spring training, you're doing workouts, you're throwing bullpens, you're doing all that stuff. But you basically show up day one. It starts. So let's say that's today. For some of the teams, it's today. Some of the teams, it was yesterday. You show up, but you're usually there a couple days early because you want to get your legs under you. You want to get a place. You got to like move into an apartment. You're renting a place for a month and a half or whatever it is. You get there, you get your locker set up the day before, and then you show up for pitchers and catchers today. If it's a 7 a.m., you're there at 6. You're getting prepped. Like you're basically you're putting your cleats on. For some of these guys, putting the cleats on the first time of the year. That guys are from the colder places, and you're showing up. Pitchers and catchers are essentially here to throw bullpens, here to get ready for a week before the hitters come. And your idea is just to have you guys get 2, maybe 3 bullpens in and just kind of lock yourself into the mound and stuff. It takes you a little bit longer to get ready because you want to lock yourself in. You got to build up those innings, build up those pitch counts.
Mhm.
And so this is that day one of it. And this is the best time ever because it's just pitchers and catchers. It's really focused. You guys all go out, do your work. You're single-minded. Hitters come in about halfway through the pitchers and catchers time. So let's say next week, today's Thursday. So next week, or like you're getting like maybe Monday or Friday or Saturday, the hitters start showing up, and that's miserable because they start like taking time. They start pulling coaches away. So they start taking training time away when they shouldn't even be there. And so pitchers and catchers, it's a great focus time, and then the hitters start showing up and ruining everything.
Let's see. We just have somebody on the chat who's watching live. Carla, who we know and love. You bitching about what time you have to be at the ball field will get no remorse from me. I'm at work by 4:30 a.m. God bless you, Carla, for saying it.
Carla, that's awesome. 4:30, that's awesome. But your work at 4:30. My work doesn't start till 7 p.m. My work doesn't start till 7 p.m. But then they're training me at 6:30, 7 a.m. That makes no sense. You're training somebody to be ready for 7 p.m. at 7 a.m. That makes no sense to me. Your body is a temple, and they're supposed to take care of it and do all this stuff. I'm not even bitching. I wake up now with my boys at 6:40 every morning, and I get them to school. It is not 4:30. That is incredible with what you're doing, and I've always loved you. But I wake up at 6:40. That's my routine. If my routine was to be ready at 8 a.m. every day, I'd be ready at 8 a.m. And that's what they're training for, is to be ready at 8 a.m. But it's like I don't even step on the mound till 9:30 p.m. Like, why am I training at 7 a.m. to be ready for 9:30 p.m.? That doesn't, to me, when we're training and talking about bodies and mind and preparation, none of that makes sense to me. Is why we're training completely opposite to where you actually want them to perform. If we want our athletes to perform at a certain time, be there at that time to perform. And I'm fine. I get it, time of day, and you want to be with your families, and like we want to get out of spring training early. But why are we sleep depriving young 20-year-old men who, what we talk about on the other side of this is, again, spring training, and we do this on the front office, we talk about how important sleep is. We talk about this all the time. This is a monster deal about recovery is sleep. And we talk about it. We spend millions of dollars trying to figure out how to get players to sleep more. And then we tell them to show up at spring training at 6 a.m. It's like, and their answer to that is, well, they shouldn't go out at night. They're young 20-year-old men in Scottsdale, Arizona, or Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, or Tampa, and we're telling them, you're not going to go out, dude. Like, don't worry about it. I know a bunch of girls are down here for spring break, but you're not going to go out.
So for a few weeks out of the year, they can't sacrifice and go to bed at a normal time.
So that's your problem, though. We're constantly telling the players to change instead of understanding what they do and understanding human nature and understanding what it is to be a human. And instead we tell them, you know what, no. Completely change who you are and what you do for this one select time of period. So like, it makes no sense to me if we're going to sit there and train them and train a body to be perfect and ready to go for a certain thing, and then train them completely opposite of that and tell them to completely change everything you do. Don't go out, don't have a drink, don't stay out till midnight. Like, oh, like you need to worry about you. Like, guys are going to do it. Everybody's going to do it. If it was a bunch of girls, they'd be doing it. Like, there's no difference. It's human nature. So understand that and say spring training should start at 10 a.m. The door is locked until 9 a.m. No one walks in there until 9 a.m. 10 a.m. we're on the field. And then if we have day game spring training, we're going to have all day games. That's fun. I love it. Totally okay with it. But if you're not playing that game, you should be on. That's when you're getting your work done. You're getting your batting practice in. You're throwing your bullpens. You're doing everything on a separate field and get your work done at the same time as everyone else is training in the game. And then we're constantly training and prepping at the same exact level as when we're going to walk out there and play during the season. If we had 8 a.m. games, dude, train at 8 a.m. You had 7 p.m. games, fine, train at 7 p.m. But we have 1 p.m. games, fine. Train at 1 p.m. It doesn't make any sense if we want to get high-performing athletes to train that at a completely opposite timeline and expect them to perform better like 12 hours later.
Everything you are saying is 100% valid. I agree with it. I understand it. But it just sounds so annoying to hear someone bitching about waking up so they can potentially make millions of dollars that year. Not saying you're wrong.
So that's my thing about it. You're taking it as this like annoying thing instead of, I'm actually looking at this as, if I actually ran a spring training, how do I get my athletes to be better? I'm not doing opposite of what I'm training. Like, and I'm not even bitching about it. It's not even bitching about being up at 6 a.m. Dude, that's easy. That's just prepping. That's easy. It's the fact that I'm expecting them to be up at 6 a.m. and then all of a sudden on a dime change to 7 p.m. and be a superior, perfectly tuned in athlete. Like, that's not how our bodies work. So, Carl, here's the thing. You're up at 4:30 a.m. at work. But then all of a sudden I said, okay, for the next 6 months, you're now working at 7 p.m. You would have said, well, why was I working at 4:30? Like, oh, yeah, just by choice. We wanted to do that to you. We could have had you still working at 7, but by choice, we had you show up at 4:30. That to me is crazy. And that's what we're doing to these athletes. I'm not even bitching. It's just change the games to 8 a.m. and let's do all day games. And you would have the best athletes in the world, or you change them later. Like, football has the guys who show up mornings, and I get it. Like, we all do that. But it's only out of because who preps the days? It's the people not on the field. The people not on the field are choosing the times when we practice and not thinking, okay, let's align practice with game time. And then we would get like, dude, these dudes would be ready all the time.
Do you guys think David Aardsma is nuts? Let us know in the comments. If you think that I'm correct, give us a like. Either way, subscribe.
It's like training for work nonstop at like 7 p.m. Then there's like, all right, cool. Tomorrow's work starts at 4:30 a.m. Good luck.
All right, let's move on. There is a player who is finally with a team, who's going to be going to spring training and got a lot of money. And I'm not.
I got signed. No, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
I got signed.
No, nobody.
I'm not a player. I can't, dude. James, I was walking yesterday, and then I stopped and stood for like 2 minutes, and my leg like had pains up and down my body. I realized like that's when I'm like, I can't even like step back on a mound.
That's because of Andrea, not because of your daily life or your pitching.
It's not necessarily because of Andrea. It's because of the ropes we have.
The ropes.
The ropes.
Listen, be happy that your wife looks at you like a sexual dynamo and you're gonna dislocate your hip because of the things that you do. Be happy.
Okay? My boys got to see this. You got to make sure you record this. We post it. Mewing.
No.
You don't even know what that is, do you?
No.
Yeah, just wait. You're gonna be so embarrassed. They're gonna be Dad, you're not allowed to do that ever again. I did that
JD
once at practice to all the kids, like last year, and I went, "Hey kids," I went, "Hey," they're all talking, and shorts up, they're all like talking, not really paying attention. I said, "Hey," and they all lost their mind. They're like, "Oh my god, he knows it! He knows it!" And they all focused.
DZ, your dad's a interesting character. All right, but before I was rudely interrupted, I was trying to say that the Boston Red Sox went out and signed the best available free agent remaining, Mr. Alex Bregman, 3-year deal, $120 million for Bregman with 2 opt-outs. Now, there's some deferred money, so the AAV turns out to be about $30 million a year, but still $30 million a year for Bregman. I think that's crazy. David, what do you think?
40.
Well, yes, it's actually 40, but even at 30, but yeah, 120 over the next 3 years for Bregman. Dude, what are you thinking?
Oh, what I'm thinking is Scott Boras and Alex Bregman had a number, and they knew what that number was. They knew what they wanted to get, and they sat back and waited. This is the one thing that he is the best at, the very best at getting the number for his athlete. That doesn't always work out, but it's almost kind of feast or famine with Boras. But when somebody gets that number, and so we're always, the crazy thing is when we sit back and we go get these contracts, go, oh my God, 90% of the time it is Scott Boras who negotiated that contract. Scott Boras did it, and he's the one signing it, or he's the one like in the background, like grinning in the photo, or at Angels games grinning, because he does these types of deals. It is so hard, it's so complicated to be able to sit there and have a player trust him. And we've sat back and like, it was funny earlier in this offseason, we were going, is this the end of Scott Boras? Is this the end of Scott Boras? He's not. No. Scott Boras isn't stopping. He isn't slowing down. He has more athletes than he's ever had in his life. He signs bigger deals than he's ever signed in his life. It is incredible what he's going to do. And for the Red Sox, I think they overpaid. But they are looking at this saying they're in a great spot. It's a short-term deal. They're overpaying for short-term. At the same time, this puts their lineup in a perfect spot. They are a complete lineup. I love this lineup. They are not a bang like Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz. We're both going to drop 45 on your ass and like watch out type of lineup. But this is a doubles, singles, and every single one of these guys can put it out when they want to type of lineup. And it's a scary lineup. Now we're looking at this as almost a 1-9. And if Trevor Story is healthy and has a little bit of a comeback year, this is a scary, scary, scary lineup. And then they went out and got the pitching. Their rotation, which was what they really needed to work on, is a lot more solid. Garrett Crochet, we've talked about on the show before. I don't think he's going to be pitching a whole lot this year because of arm health. But if he's healthy, holy crap, watch out. That dude is incredible and electric. And he'll be electric when he comes back. If I think he'll get hurt, but when he comes back, he's going to be electric anyways. And then you got Walker Buehler. You still have Giolito, who's the question mark right now as a 6-man out. Maybe they might go to a 6-man rotation. There's some word about that. But you got Walker Buehler. If he is anything sort of what he was like before he had his second Tommy John, he's an absolute stud. And then
in the playoffs last year.
Yes, he still has stuff to grow through, and he still has things that he still needs to hit, but like he's going to be good. And then you have a good bullpen, William Hendricks. Let's not forget this guy was one of the best in the league for a couple of years. Aroldis Chapman, we all know about Aroldis. We don't like he's perfect in a setup man role for them. And then you got some other guys that down the line that are absolute studs. I love the lineup. I love the signing. Way overpaid. And one thing I wanted to talk to you, and I never even talked to you, and we talk about Pete Alonso all the time on here. We're talking about Mets, so you love it. But I wanted to throw a little Alonso Bregman like combo into this. Pete Alonso. So what I did, I compared Alonso and Bregman in from 21 on. Okay. So 2021 on, I compared Alonso and Bregman. I didn't want to go all through the whole career. I wanted to do kind of a little bit more focus on the last 4 years and what actually matters. Okay.
You mean 2021?
21, 22, 23, and 24 is what I...
Because 2011 would be very long.
Did I say 2011? 21.
Said 2011. Anyway, continue.
I think you're wrong. Anyways, so I was looking at Pete Alonso is down a 1.5 WAR to Bregman. Again, this is one of the big knocks on Alonso is that he plays bad defense, so he gets 0 WAR basically for defense. But Bregman gets all this WAR and is so good on defense and is so above average to anybody. To compared to like Alonso. Alonso then basically destroys him in every single stat. He doubles Bregman in home runs. That short little porch in Minute Maid Park, Pete Alonso doubles him in home runs. Batting average and on base percentage, Bregman has him by 14 points each, but 14 points is like nothing. That's a couple hits, you're almost there. OPS plus, Alonso is almost 10 points higher than him. OPS, he's 40 points higher than him. Slugging, he's 50 points higher than him. Again, double the home runs. He has 100 more RBIs. He even has more stolen bases. He's doubled his stolen base. I get it. It's 15-8, but that's always fun to talk about. Hits, he's got more hits than him, more games than him. I don't understand where we're looking at this, and we're looking at a $26 million player to a $40 million player.
Well, 30
and we keep talking trash about Pete Alonso and how bad he is and how the Mets fans, hey, we don't want him. He's way overpaid. And he's out there blowing other players out of the water statistically. I don't understand the comp. So when all these experts sit there and talk like, oh, he should get paid 20, but he wants way more, but Bregman's way better. Like where? Where is this? Basically anything, any channel, anywhere you're going to find, if you comp the two, as far as like what on the outside, what people think, it's always Bregman's a better player. I don't understand where this conversation is coming from, because statistically, Alonso blows him out of the water. I get it. Third base, priority position, and all of that. And he should get paid more because you're adding the third base defensively. But you're talking about what, $12, $13 million more a year? Dude, no. Hard no. Again, like the second most home runs in Major League Baseball since he walked into the league. And Aaron Judge, who's on his road to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, who's done incredible things, one of the best seasons ever in Major League history, is the only guy that's beating him. And we talk about him like as if he's trash. Bregman deserves, to me, Bregman's probably getting overpaid by $7 million a year. That's my number on that. But the Red Sox, I think if they go out there and win, and I think they can, I still don't think they're on the Yankees level, but they just passed the Orioles for taking second place in the AL East, because they've done nothing but add, where the Orioles have added on the pitching side a little bit. But from a hitting side, the Orioles are still lacking. I see the Red Sox jumping them.
So it's so funny. You basically took every talking point that I had.
Good.
So
I want to say F you, but F you then.
Well, right. Basically, when I saw this,
do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm on target with that?
I agree with everything you said. When you take a look at Alex Bregman, and yes, he's a fine player, but where is he a league leader? What's the God? He pops off the page.
Stolen World Series titles.
Stolen World Series titles. That's it. He's a good ball player, and I would love to have him on my team. Not for $40 million a year. And I think this is where teams like Seattle Mariners fans are pissed off, because they don't have a chance to get a guy like Bregman if he's getting $40 million. But that's because people are stupid.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's the thing. Like, the Seattle Mariners fans have to see this deal and take a breath and sigh of relief and go, at least we didn't pay $40 million for a guy, and we're going to see all of his offensive numbers dip in Seattle and get really frustrated, even though offensively he would still be good for Seattle and for that ballpark. But they would be really pissed off and disappointed that like in a year and a half and go, oh my God, his offense numbers dropped. But like,
I spent 6 hours out of my day yesterday responding to Facebook posts, because I got it sucked into this Facebook post yesterday on the Mariners talking about whether there needs to be a salary cap in baseball. And I just went off. And by the way, Carla, thank you, because there were people actually saying that I didn't know anything about the finances of baseball, which is the funniest thing, because I know nothing but the finances of baseball, as we are very well aware. Anybody who watches.
Are you pro cap or no? I don't think you are you? Yes.
No, I think it's ridiculous.
Dumbest thing ever. When people talk about the cap, I don't get the concept behind this, because every league that has a cap has less playoff teams have made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And Major League Baseball, okay, again, now the NFL has jumped them in the most teams that have made the playoffs, but they've also had more teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
In the system that until like 2 years ago, Major League Baseball didn't have as many teams. So Major League Baseball had less spots and had given it to more teams. And where the NFL now has eclipsed them, but they've always had more spots. So I've never understood the concept behind the cap and going, oh, Major League Baseball needs more diverse. Like, we'll run through who's won the World Series and then look at their salary and where they comp to the salary, and then look at who's been in the World Series and go to salary per year. And you'll be surprised, and you'll start seeing a lot of teams that you didn't realize they weren't top 3. They weren't top 4 in salary. And a salary cap's going to do nothing but guarantee certain franchises like constant winners, constant winning teams. And you're going to get it. We always thought the Yankees and Dodgers and stuff in the top tier, but very, very rarely have they actually won. Like 2009, we can look back at the Yankees and go, okay, great. That's it. Like, right? Like, we look at the Dodgers.
The Yankees have been top 10 in salary for as long as I've been alive.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Since 2000, how many World Series titles have they won? Well, they won 2000, they won 2001, and then they won 2000.
I don't, yeah. But 2009, I got to say this, by the way, like my finger's a little crooked.
Mm-hmm.
I was planting a bunch of plants yesterday, and I was digging, and I was trying to dig out a little water line and get my finger under there. I didn't want to use like anything to break the water line, and I jammed it, and I heard a pop in my finger, and now I can't like straighten it. Like cricket, my
If you'd like to hear more about David Aardsma's finger, please like and subscribe to the channel.
Oh yeah, Carla, thank you. I didn't pick up on it. The Yankees lost 2001.
All right, you're right. I'm sorry.
Diamondbacks.
Sorry, you are absolutely correct, Carla. I try not to think about my Mets being the last team in the 2000. Yeah. Anyhow, the end of the dynasty. But going back to Bregman, because we kind of went way off. This has such huge ramifications, massive, because like you said, I think right now that Boston is at least the number 2 team in the AL East, if not number 1. So I'm still not sold on the Yankees. I think it makes Baltimore worse. I think they're number 4 right now, because I do think the addition of Santander and to a certain extent Scherzer makes Toronto better. But now if Toronto has to sit there and leapfrog the Red Sox and the Yankees, there's a very, very good chance that they're going to trade Vlad at the trade deadline. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's why Bregman, the number there. I'm glad Toronto didn't sign him either. Like that's a huge number. I would have liked Toronto to sign him and not Toronto sign him at the same time. It's crazy. The number 40 is a huge number for him. Great for him. I'm not complaining at all. The player gets it.
Yeah, God bless. Get all the money that you can while you can.
You think? I'm just going to say this right now. You think that I know why you think this. You think that the Red Sox might have just jumped the New York Yankees. And I know why. It's because you do not believe in Paul Goldschmidt.
It's not that I don't believe in Goldschmidt. I like Goldschmidt. You remember, I'm a huge Goldschmidt fan. But at the end of the day, how much better is Goldschmidt than what they had there in Rizzo and Rice? Better, but not significantly
Definitely better. Definitely. Huh? I think significantly better, to be honest.
I don't think so.
I think he's better defensively.
Defensively, yes.
And again, probably hairline defensively, because Rizzo was very good defender. I'm not thinking anything against Rizzo. It's more of like you just don't realize how good Goldschmidt is at defense, and they're probably borderline together. But like I think give Goldschmidt the better. And I think offensively, I huge jump.
I don't think it's as huge as you think. But forget about that for a second. You took a step back going from Soto to Bellinger.
Okay.
Jazz Chisholm and Gleyber Torres. Yeah, you can say that Jazz Chisholm's a better player, but I'm sorry, until he proves it on the field, yeah, and he had a wonderful little stretch there with the Yankees. But you look at the back of the baseball card, he's never lived up to expectations, and I can't expect him to start doing. So it's kind of a wash. The only place that you got better, yeah, you got Fried, but you overspent for Fried, in my opinion. There's another move coming for the Yankees. There has to be, in my opinion. But it's not so much even about the Yankees. Now,
Devin Williams. You forgot about reliever of the year, Devin Williams.
and that's awesome. But I
But
just
like again, okay, we're just like chopping down the tree, man. You had a monster tree with Soto. That tree fell, and then you're gonna. I believe in the aggregate, they created a better team. So I'm not. Soto's a stud. Soto gets on base. He riled things up. He got energy, and you're not going to get the same energy out of Bellinger and Goldschmidt. You are not. You're getting. Bellinger might be so high, he might not even realize he signed with the Yankees. And you got Goldie, who's just like this, like stone, like our pools, like stone face the whole time. Give you a smile every now and then, but I get it. But I think I think Bellinger and Goldschmidt together are it's almost negligible when you sit there and go Rizzo and Soto together. Those two together offensively are going to give you the same thing. Rizzo, you got nothing from offensively. And Soto, you got a lot. You're going to get the same. Like, okay, I'm a little lower on both, but I think Goldschmidt, the thing about Goldschmidt, dude, he hits the ball in the air, and when that ball gets in the air in Yankee Stadium, it's gone. Bellinger hits the ball in the air. When you get the ball in the air in Yankee Stadium, it's gone.
Listen, for Yankees,
my problem is who's
going
to get on base for him? That's the bigger question.
I just don't see it. But then you look at the Orioles. The Orioles have lost. They lost Santander. They lost Burns. So yes, they signed the Japanese guy. But is that close?
That's the thing, is that's where a lot of their stuff is going to be coming down to is Sugano, right?
Yeah.
Absolute stud in Japan. Yeah. 3-time like Cy Young winner, 3-time MVP. But the dude's 35. He's gonna be walking in first year in US. It's gonna be a whole lot. I think people are underplaying how good he is and probably how good he is as a competitor. But I think he will be better than we think. I think we're kind of underplaying him a whole lot because he's not 25 throwing 100 miles an hour. But I guarantee we can go out there and pitch. But Baltimore is a very tough place to pitch in the summer. It's a very tough place to pitch. But again, the Charlie Morton deal is good. But I do love Zach Eflin being there for this second year. I love Dean Kramer. I love Grayson Rodriguez. I like the rotation, but I do not think Baltimore got a whole lot better.
No, I don't. And I think Toronto got better. So who's got the best division in baseball now? Is it the AL East or the NL East?
Oh. With the NL East, you still have the Marlins, who are just going to be trash.
Okay.
Right? But the Braves are going to be really good. Phillies are going to be really good. Mets are going to be really good. And then who am I missing there?
Washington, who's
going to be a lot better.
Yeah, they're going to be a lot better.
Here's what it is. I just don't see – I see the top end of the NL East still better because you still have three teams. You're just like, dude, like – you guys are
all three could win the World Series.
All three could win the World Series depending on health. I still think there's only two teams right now with the AL East, with the Yankees and Red Sox, and there's still probably bigger question marks about both teams.
But this is why I've been saying for the last 6 weeks how pissed off I am with Baltimore for not trading some of their prospects and going after it.
Dude, at some point, let's go.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to our bread and butter. We're going to move on to my favorite player in the entire world of all time. It's showtime. And unfortunately, we found out that there's still some shoulder discomfort from Mr. Ohtani. What are you hearing, Mr. Aardsma?
Shohei was going to throw bullpens. He's throwing bullpens down here in Arizona, and he is definitely feeling that shoulder. He said there's definitely shoulder discomfort, something he wasn't planning on. He's not trying to raise like giant red flags or anything like that, and I don't think there's anything to raise about it, but he is definitely not feeling comfortable there. And so, yes, they were going to be pushing back the timeline a little bit. They're just not sure now quite when that timeline's going. He did hit, and he went out there and crushed, I guess, during some BP, which it's not surprising by any means. But I guarantee you there's probably some discomfort still in that elbow, discomfort in that shoulder, trying to still get on the mound and figure out where his elbow is and where the arm is, and then that left shoulder exactly where it is. Because if you see it there, even in that picture of him with the Angels, you see the arm up and full out, and you watch the bullpen with the Dodgers. This last bullpen, his front arm was definitely not in that same position. Again, intensity, throwing in the game, trying to throw 100 miles an hour versus throwing 85 miles an hour in a bullpen, totally different. But that elbow, you can see it right there where that front arm is, and that bullpen with the Dodgers, it did not look like it's in the same place. And it's hard like to raise it comfortably and then to pull on that. So you do pull on it. Some guys pull less and some guys pull more. But using that front side to pull and having discomfort there is something he's going to have to figure out and get through. But that front side, it's like the scope of a gun, right? It's like looking down there on a rifle and a gun, and that scope is going to give you exactly where your target is. If the front side is not there, not in line, and not strong and stable towards your target, everything's going to be off. And that's what he's experienced right now. He's got to figure this out. It's going to be something he has to get through. I think the Dodgers are being super cautious with everything, which is fine.
They should be.
As they should be. And again, I don't think anybody in Dodger land is complaining about the results they had without him on the mound. And this offseason, they don't need him on the mound. Like if I'm the Dodgers, I'm actually probably exploring ways to not have him too much on the mound, even though he's absolutely Cy Young worthy and Cy Young candidate guy. I'm making sure he is as safe and as healthy as humanly possible.
But this is why they have an 8-man rotation.
Exactly. You got Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki, Gonsolin, May, and you haven't gotten to Ohtani
yet. They just signed Kershaw.
Yes, and they just signed Kershaw. Where the hell are they going to put Kersh? Dude, what are you doing? I don't even understand that one.
This is why I see this more and more, and I keep thinking that eventually Ohtani's just going to be a reliever in high leverage situations. How
do you do it? How do you do it? I guess
I don't know, man. They figured out to change the rules to make him be able to DH and pitch and do whatever the hell they want. They'll figure out a way. Maybe they'll make a rule where if you're in the field or if you're on the base when you're supposed to be warming up, we're going to give you an extra 5 minutes. A new Ohtani rule. Who the hell knows? But what's good for baseball is what's good for Ohtani. You know it and I know it. They will figure out a way to make that happen. I know. I was thinking about what are the logistics? How are they going to make that work? If he's on base and he's supposed to pitch the next half inning, he can't have time to warm up. They'll figure it out. They'll
warm him up. But again, as DH, they can warm up in the eighth, warm up. They'll figure out, from a pitching standpoint, figure out how to warm them up. But I assume they have a bullpen right next to the locker, right next to the dugout. They have to have something. I know they've done crazy renovations at Dodger Stadium for all that. But the problem is there's a lot of fields that don't. Almost 99% of the fields don't have a bullpen capable that's close enough down there in the tunnel. It's going to get really interesting, and there's going to be some problems with that. But I understand why he would be a reliever late in ball games. It's just when you're in Baltimore and you're getting down to it, and the bullpen is 440 feet away in center field up cobblestone walkway, you're not going to be having him running back and forth, and that's honestly just logistically you're going to have problems with him hitting and being a reliever. But I think he should be at this point. Or I think he could be, and I don't think the starting pitcher is going to work out for him.
What do you think about making one of those little bullpen cars that they used to have for Ohtani? But
I've been all the time.
Shogun helmet.
Yes, my entire life I've been advocating for bring back the goddamn bullpen cars. That's because you're lazy. I don't want to run. Why do I want to run from the bullpen? Give me the Shohei Shogun helmet. Let me ride in there. I'll ride in with a mask on my face. I'll look like a little ninja. Let's do this.
You're going to look like a little ninja.
Yeah, dude. Ninjas don't have hair, right?
No. And is it true that you already have a ninja outfit? I heard Andrea dressed you up in one.
No comments. I can't talk about the ninja outfit. You're not supposed to know about the ninja outfit until it's too late.
Sorry, brother. I apologize. But what made me really happy, though, is in the video that we showed earlier of him swinging the bat, it doesn't seem like he has any discomfort in that labrum swinging. He looked pretty comfortable. What did you see there?
Yeah, and again, the injury itself happened running the bases, stealing second base, putting his arm out in a weird position and putting too much weight on it instead of actually just sliding in position. That's one of the dumbest things he probably could have ever done. Heck, just slide face first and do that. Stop putting your arm out and resting on it, because all you're going to do is hurt it. There's nothing good can come from it. And obviously now we see that. I guarantee you there's been a whole lot of changes in running and sliding and make sure guys aren't having their arms in that position. But the arm looks, again, if he's feeling a discomfort pitching and just raising that arm, he's feeling it hitting and he's sitting there when he's using that. But again, he's such a good athlete. I think he's going to be just fine in adjusting for it because we saw it in the World Series. We saw a massive change in his swing, and he was a hole in the lineup basically after that injury, and he was just hoping to maybe jump on a ball and hit it, but he wasn't the same hitter. So for me, it's don't change your swing, get stronger, get healthy. And again, they don't even need him in the lineup when they start the year. They don't need him. Let him be healthy. And when you in May, when you're fully healthy, fully back, and that arm is 100% strong, take your time with it. And he's going to come in the lineup and crush. I didn't realize they got Conforto. Jesus,
yeah,
they got Conforto.
Yeah, they needed someone to polish the balls in the outfield. I don't know what the hell they got him for, but
he's got him. They got him starting in left field right now.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
This is insane. Conforto a couple of years ago when he signed with the Dodgers, people were like, "Oh my god, like this is about to go," or signed with the Giants. They're like, this is about to go off. Like he's going to come back, and this is insane what they're able to do.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. Hey, they're playing within the rules. It's amazing to me, though, that we just literally said that the Dodgers do not need to start the year with the best player in baseball, either on the mound or in the box. We don't need it. It's fine. They'll be fine without him.
The MVP. We don't need it. Like multiple time MVP. Like,
and
they're
that's
going to be just fine without him.
Astounding. Did you get to watch the Super Bowl this year?
No, I watched the Puppy Bowl. I really kind of focused in on it.
Well, just
yeah, Pebbles won. Pebbles won this year.
I Kermit the Frog. I lost the Super Bowl. Yay! And my
of course, I watched the Super Bowl, dude. You know I'm locked in.
I know. But I find it funny that my dad almost got into a fight with his former teammate John Rocker. If you can't tell, that's my Kermit the Frog, Pat Mahomes impression. How's my?
Were they teammates?
I believe so.
With who? With the Braves?
I think in Texas.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I love the video. I liked it. Down on Bourbon Street, and they're obviously like something. I just want to know what it was that fired him up. But John Rocker was fired up, and I don't know if I want to get between John Rocker and anything.
Number one, I would love to get between John Rocker and something because I would love to go up against that guy. I have no love for John Rocker. And
I don't think like you want a piece of John Rocker. You don't think he's like what?
I have no fear of John Rocker. Zero.
I don't think you've learned. The one thing I know is he is crazy. He might be all talk, but he is also a pretty large human being. All I know is you don't get in front of crazy. And I know he's crazy.
Look, I fear one man, and his name is Brock Lesnar. I fear no one else. I'm not saying that he wouldn't kick the crap out of me, but I have no fear of John Rocker, and I would love to take a shot at him for what he did when he was a Brave and started talking crap about my Mets and my New Yorkers. So John Rocker, if Pat Mahomes backs out, I'm in. I'll fight you. But I think that whole thing on Bourbon Street was just a setup because then you have stupid Portnoy.
Somebody said it. Thank you.
You got stupid Portnoy talking about it.
I don't know if you saw this little beef on Bourbon, the beef on Bourbon Street this past weekend. John Rocker and Pat Mahomes Sr. going at it, almost broke out in a fight. I guess they fucking hated each other since their playing days baseball. I mean, I guess not surprising. Everyone has beef with John Rocker. But they signed the fucking paperwork. Guess what we got, boys and girls? Rough and Rowdy, April 19th, Wheeling, West Virginia. Bad Friday. Two guys, none of this like, I liked Tyson, Jake Paul. They're great. They're fucking making up and like fucking each other after the fight. This is real bad blood. And just to show that I don't hold grudges, I know Patty Mahomes, the Super Bowl guy, the guy who just got doors blown off, said he hated Barstool. Well, now your dad's fighting in our company against John Rocker, so I'm going to save a seat, free of charge. Patty Mahomes and crew, no bad blood. We can make up, watch your dad fight. That's an open invite. You say you don't like us, I get your dad to fight John Rocker and Rough and Rowdy.
All right,
April
turn this
19th.
off. I don't want to hear any more of this.
Patty.
Friday.
Patty, just rile him up. Give Kermit rile Kermit up a little bit.
Why are you talking about my dad like that?
No, he's not talking about his dad. Patty is Patrick Mahomes' son, Jr. Patty is the younger one.
Okay. Well, regardless, I'm all confused now. But regardless, I cannot stand Portnoy. He is so annoying. He's an arrogant piece of garbage. Now, I give him all the credit in the world for what he was able to build with Barstool. I would love for Man Cave Sports to do Barstool one day. And you know what? Maybe if Man Cave Sports gets as big as, maybe I'll be as arrogant. But it hasn't happened yet. And if he's ever looking to fight Portnoy, bring it on.
I love Dave Portnoy. I'll be honest. I love him. He knows exactly what he is. He riles it up exactly when he needs to. He pokes the exactly how, but at the same time, he backs it up. He gets it done. I've got two ways to think of this.
Hold on a second before we go there. Me versus Portnoy in a fight. Is there any chance he's standing at the end of it?
100% he kicks your ass.
No chance in hell.
The thing about it, he's actually going to train. You're not going to. You're going to think you got this. You're going to walk in the ring. He's going to wait 30 seconds till you get tired, and he's going to start popping your ass.
Oh, no, I'll train. Me and the Bear Jew will go nuts training for this. Let me tell you something. I get one shot in, he's on the floor. You've seen it.
I know. You've got a great right. I got a better one. So.
No, not by the measures of things that we've done.
I beat you.
Once.
Right here,
I beat you
dirty
twice.
the dirty dog right here in Scottsdale. I beat you.
All right. We're going to have to, no, because I beat you the first 2 times and you beat me the third.
And it was the higher number than all of them.
But I still won 2 out of 3.
Oh, come on.
All right. We're going to have to redo this again.
Anyways, so, okay. Rocker versus Pat Mahomes Sr. Okay, there's 2 ways I think about looking at this on Bourbon Street. In my heart of hearts, don't think that little scrum was set up. And only because how the filming was, it was done from far enough away and walking up and you couldn't really even hear what they're saying. It's not done well enough to have, like, if it was more audio and you could really kind of get it, like, see how they're just far enough away. It seemed like somebody actually was filming it and a little beef was going on. Someone just filming 2 people about to fight on the street, right? I think that was, if it was closer and I was right in there and you could hear them and like, I don't think that was set up. Again, it really easily could have been. But I also think Dave and Barstool are incredibly good at seizing an opportunity. Immediately when that video came out, calling both and saying, right now, let's do this, sign right now, let's go. And just offering them whatever they wanted to offer and say, you make this happen, you got the beef, let's fight. Because it's out of nowhere. It makes no sense. Pat Sr., I get it, but John Rocker makes no sense. 0 sense to me. So while, like, they just go, boom, John Rocker, let's go, let's get a fight going. It makes no sense. It does, though, like, if something happened, they immediately call him up. I think they're actually really smart about it and quick at that and just cornering them and getting them to sign a deal really quick. I think they're actually really good about it. One, I love the idea of the fight. I'm definitely going to want to watch this. I'm going to be paying attention because it's just stupid. And let's see 2 normal people want to fight. Rocker's going to absolutely light him up because I think that dude could take a mule kick to the face and he probably won't even feel it because he's going to be so out of it. I don't know if Pat Sr. is going to show up if he's not going to get DUI on the way to the fight. And so we'll try to figure that whole thing out. As far as Portnoy is, I get it why people could be really annoyed with him and really like kind of a prick all the time. But I dig it for what it is, and he knows exactly what he is. And that's why I'm okay with that. When people are like, don't try to play as not the dick, like, I don't like it. Like, when you're at least like, yeah, I'm a prick, but like, what are you going to do about it? Like, I am what I am. I'm fine with that, and I can live with it.
Okay. Do you think this fight is actually going to happen?
I don't know if Rocker's going to pass a drug test, and I don't know if Pat's going to even be able to get there with a DUI.
Do you think Pat Mahomes Jr., who's worth all that money, is going to let his
refer to him as David? Refer to him as Dave Portnoy. Refer to him, please, as Patty. That's what he was poking.
Dave Portnoy says.
He was poking. Do you think he's going to let it happen?
Yeah.
I don't think he's lost. He has zero control of his family. Zero control of his family. That is, I love Pat, and I've loved Pat forever. And his godfather, LaTroy, a big friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of yours. Like, he's the dude. But that family, man, like Jackson is a mess. His wife is off her rocker, and his dad's got issues. But Pat's incredible and holding it together, and is an incredible human, incredible like everything.
But here's the thing: what do you think? What could they possibly be paying Pat Senior?
Dude, like, just because son's making money doesn't mean dad is.
Well, I'm not saying that, but what do you think they're paying Pat Senior for this fight?
I bet 500.
500. You're telling me Pat Mahomes Jr. wouldn't say, "Dad, this is an embarrassment to the family. I don't want you to do it. Here's $2 million. Get the hell out of it."
More than that, because now once they promoted it, once they've talked about it, Portnoy and Barstool's not dumb. They got him signed on a dotted line. The moment he pulls out, they're going to sue his butt for $10 million.
I'm sure that there are clauses, there are ways to get out of it.
Nope. You don't get to. That's not how that works. You walk out, you walk away, you pay for all that energy, you have all that setup, all that marketing, everything. You're paying for it.
I'm sure Pat Jr. would say whatever it costs me.
I think we're way too into what the son would do. I think the son's got zero control on this. He's never had control of the family.
I'll tell you one thing. My father tried to do something like that to me. I kicked the crap out of him.
Yeah, but then you would still fight. You would do it. He's not doing it to you. That's the problem. That's what everyone thinks about. He's not doing it to his son. He's doing it for himself.
Yeah. How's he going to do it, though, if I break both of his freaking legs? All right, let's move on. Let's finish up the show on a positive note because I'm getting aggravated today. I don't know what it is. This is my blood is boiling just thinking about it.
You're a Mets fan. That's your first problem. Then you're a Jets fan. That's your second problem. You at least figured it out with the Rangers. You figure Rangers at least like that evens it out, but
no, because I've only seen one Stanley Cup in my entire life. I've literally seen one championship.
Well, you've seen a lot of good teams, so you're okay with that.
This is why I'm a Seattle Mariners fan in the American League. You know, it's funny. All these people yesterday, this is the one thing that really pissed me off in this Facebook war that I got into yesterday. Somebody was saying, well, I knew you were a big market fan and, you don't know anything about the Mariners. Like, I consider myself an honorary Mariner. Between you and Milton and Ken, I know more about the Mariners than anybody on.
Ken,
no?
That's a weird one. Ken,
What?
That's a weird one. That's a weird dropping a Ken. Kenneth.
Fine, I'll call him George. Thank you, George.
Hey, I'm a Larry fan. Yeah, the Braves third baseman. I'm a big Larry fan.
You understand my point? Like I'm you guys are friends of mine, and I feel like I'm part of that fraternity, and I love the Mariners.
I just know you know a lot about the Mariners. That's the thing about them.
What's that?
Just because Mariners fans don't want to necessarily honor the problems that's going on with the organization other than they just can't win. There's a lot of other problems you got to sit there and acknowledge.
Yeah, and I have acknowledged them. I've acknowledged all. Like, I was sitting there the other day, someone started bad-mouthing Junior because he went to the Reds. Like, they were saying, like, he forced his way and he said the only team that he would go to is the Reds. Like, then the Mariners should have been smart enough to trade him before he got his 10-5 rights. That's why you have 10-5 rights. You think there's going to be a problem? You trade them earlier. Don't let somebody hold you over the barrel. And as we know from Steve Phillips, if they had given him more than maybe 30 minutes, maybe he would have went to the Mets. Thank you, Carla. Carla gets on the comment saying you are a Mariners fan. See, this is why I love Carla. Carla, you're on. All right. David, let's get done with the show. Let's go to the Chicago White Sox Mount Rushmore.
Love it. Love the Mount Rushmore. Always, again, look at the hair, the beautiful, beautiful hair of all those guys.
Oh, of all those guys. Gotcha. David, who's your number one on your Mount Rushmore?
My number one on the Chicago White Sox Mount Rushmore. Here's my problem with the Chicago White Sox. They've had so many players so good so long ago. They had so many good teams, so many amazing players that when you're sitting there looking at it, it's hard to really take players from like today's day and age or even closer and look back and go, okay, how do you compare them to just the absolute studs and time they've had. Great players. There've been a couple guys nowadays that have been really good, but no one not many guys really jump in there at the same level, right?
Like AJ Przinsky.
Like AJ Buzinski, like you look there and you think about that. But the way I look at it again, I look at it and say, okay, like I look at time and generations and stuff like that. You can't have all guys in the 1940s. You can't have all guys in the 2000s unless it's a brand newer franchise. You gotta spread these guys out. And just because and the Cubs one was really one of those ones I focus on this, and A's also as well. You have such a long history of these players. You can't just throw them all in one generation. And you have to recognize them as Cubs, and like everybody, like walk down the street and go to an average Cubs, or go to an average White Sox fan, like, do you know these guys? And you gotta you gotta recognize them as a White Sox, and not say just because they're one of the greatest, you got to recognize them and say, like, all right, this is our Mount Rushmore. You got to know about these guys. So all of that being said, let's go here. My first one, I just realized this week I get to actually just pick who I want to talk about, and not. I always thought there was an order. So it's fun now knowing I get to just talk about whenever I want. See, this is the problem, James. Just let me talk. You're not allowed to just let me talk. As we know from a couple weeks ago, I can talk, and I never thought I could. I never thought I could handle just talking on air, and now I don't shut up.
I've created a monster.
Yes, you have.
But you know what? I don't care. You do the heavy lifting.
My first player on the White Sox Mount Rushmore is Luke Appling.
Who?
Exactly. Played from 1930 to 1950. He left a couple years, probably for World War II. An absolute stud. He only hit 45 home runs. I like that, though. Like, only hit 45 home runs, but 7-time All-Star, 2 batting titles, retired in 1950. He obviously fought in World War II. He was an incredible contact hitter. He leads all of White Sox history, which is a huge, long history in war, which is an awesome thing. Absolute stud, hit .310 for a career, .399 on base percentage. Again, power wasn't a big thing, but it was constant. He was consistent. All-time leader in games played, plate appearances, hits. Number is retired in White Sox lore. So Luke Appling.
Okay, Luke Appling, little guy. No wonder he didn't hit a lot of home runs. You saw he had little itty bitty arms.
Yeah, but you get up there and you just hits the ball, just nonstop hits the ball, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Who's your number 2 guy?
Number 2, I'm gonna go with Eddie Collins.
Okay, why Eddie?
Eddie Collins just kind of did absolutely everything for the White Sox. Again, we're talking about Luke hit .310 as a career. He hit .330 as a career. He had 803 RBIs, 266 doubles. But again, number is retired. He played 12 seasons and was a little bit of everything. He led the White Sox in steals over his career. But again, Eddie could do absolute everything as a ball player. Stud. I've heard about him for years. When you're in White Sox Stadium, when you're in whatever it is right now, Guaranteed Rate Field, I don't even know. They change the name all the time. US Cellular, when I was there. There's cool things
anymore.
Comiskey was at one point. New Comiskey at one point. You go into the locker room and there's little plaques in the locker room of all the retired numbers, the best players in White Sox history. He's up there. And what I love about those, I wish I would have taken pictures of all of them. It goes through everything with all these players. And Eddie Collins was one I'd always sit back and look at and just be in awe with how much of a stud he was. And obviously a huge part of those early franchise teams in 1915, 1926, just stud. It's just hard to relate to that. That's over 100 years ago, right? And it's hard to relate to some of these ball players. And that's one of those problems with the White Sox. They have this history, but it's so long ago and marred by some of those, Black Sox scandals, stuff like that.
Ugly man. Sorry to say it. And if his family's watching, I'm sorry. But big old Dumbo ears and a big old nose. All right, continue. Who's next?
Next, I'm trying to move it to a little bit current generation. When you get in there into, I'll do this one. One of my teammates, one of the guys who I think took the franchise to another level, was truly like a captain of our teams when he was there in the early 2000s. Paul Konerko.
Oh, Paul Konerko. What a great ball player he was. Tell us about Paulie.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this straight up. There's no doubt that there were players that had more of an impact at their time with the White Sox. Had better numbers, historic numbers, and stuff like this. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer, anything like that. I think I think we probably had him in our Hall very good. Incredible team, incredible leader of those teams, and that World Series team in 2005. He was an absolute stud on those teams. He really kind of took that franchise to another spot. Like, he's number 22 for me. He's number 22 in WAR as a Chicago White Sox, and I get it. It is nowhere near a lot of the other players. But when 432 home runs, over 1,300 RBIs, hit 281, was the six-time All-Star. He has in total bases in the franchise history. He's there. Won the World Series, and again, his numbers retired. Numbers-wise, it doesn't necessarily compare to some of the greats as far as WAR and all that, and some of the other numbers. But to me, nothing said like being a White Sox since the 2000s like Paul Konerko, and borderline Hall of Famer, right? Like a guy that we probably could have had a little bit more conversation with if he would. I mean, dude did 432 home runs. Like if he had two more really good years, he'd be in the 460s and 480s, and we'd have a conversation. It's just hard because it just he never had that 1 year or 2 years that put him on that higher plateau, that MVP, just like 2-year MVP or something like that, that's just separated himself. If he would have had those, he would be a Hall of Famer probably.
Reminds me of Carlos Delgado, just consistently so good throughout his career, but just didn't get to that Hall of Fame level.
Yeah. And for me, he's a face of the franchise in their history. Yeah. When you talk about White Sox history, you can't get to the 2000s without talking about him, and him being the guy on the team. There might have been other better players on the team. Jim Tomei, guys like that. Even a Mark Burley is a conversation about stuff like that. But you can't get past that without talking about Paul Konerko.
Yep. And finally, our last player, when you think about the White Sox or low testosterone, we talk about this guy.
The big hurt, Frank Thomas.
The big hurt. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with the low testosterone, you haven't been watching commercials on TV, because he's on every one for that. I don't even remember what the company is, but yeah, the big hurt.
Gen X. Nugenics. I remember those commercials. Back to back.
Total T. And the only bad thing about Frank Thomas, before you talk about him, is that he took Tom Selleck's job in Mr. Baseball.
He did, but you know what? Tom Selleck became a better baseball player for it, and I love it. That was one of the favorite parts about that movie. They took you're like, wait, that's Frank Thomas. And at the same time, like, Frank Thomas was up and coming and becoming like that guy. Like, yeah, he would have been the dude like doing that. And it was so cool. You goosebumps. I'm going to watch it. Mr. Baseball is one of probably the most accurate baseball movies there is. Without a doubt. They took Japanese baseball and truly spoke about it correctly. And then they talked about the problem of being an old-time baseball player, trying to make it and can't, and have to regenerate your career, and then coming back as like a coach. Like, that was pretty cool at the end there.
Yeah, good movie. Underrated. All right,
well, let's talk about one of the best baseball movies there is. But Frank Thomas, two-time All-Star, two-time MVP winner, 93, 94, back-to-back. That is so tough to do, especially as a hitter. Well, I guess everybody. 4-time Silver Slugger. I don't even know how many times he was an All-Star. 448 home runs, 1,465 runs, both the most in franchise history. Number 35, big hurts. Obviously, the numbers retired, but you can't talk about just like the thing. What he did was just dominate the game when he was there. It was like, it didn't matter. He was a 5-time All-Star. I mean, again, like you just looked at, thought about just pure dominance as a hitter. He was it. Just did everything, and was a monster. And I do have to say this: I had the ability to hit him once, and I hit him. I got him. I didn't mean to, but I got him.
And you're still here to tell the story. Good for you, because I'd be terrified of Frank Thomas. That's a big boy. He's like the Black Paul Bunyan.
I got sent down that game right after the game.
Well, that's what you get.
And I do have to say this: I do know several people who know Frank, and have nothing but incredible things to say about him as a person and everything.
Never heard a bad word about him. I've been trying to get him on my shows for years. It's never worked out. He's always nice when I talk to him, but it just never works out, unfortunately. Before we go to your first man out and your guy who could possibly make it, who's on the roster now, which I can't imagine there's anybody on the roster now who could possibly make the Mount Rushmore. But where the hell is Shoeless Joe Jackson on your list?
Where is he? Not on there, man.
Should be there.
Like, I get it. People talking about it and should be a Hall of Famer minus what he did, but just the numbers as a White Sox just doesn't match with some of those other guys, and it might be with what he did in his career, but I don't have him.
Okay, who's the first guy out?
For me, Ted Lyons. Ted Lyons. Again, this is an issue with being one of the older players. And again, he was 1923 to 1946. So he played forever, 21 years. Not all of it with actually almost all of it with the White Sox, right? Yeah, almost all of it with the White Sox. 260 victories in the White Sox. So 3.67 ERA, very good, very long time. But again, like it's hard to look at that and go, okay, everyone's going to walk into guaranteed rate field and be like, oh yeah, Ted Lyons, yep, White Sox. To me, it's just hard to find who am I going to find from the different generations, and for me, that's really what it stops. The dude is an absolute stud. He's all-time leader in complete games, wins, and numbers retired. And I mean, all that stuff. He's a Hall of Famer. I can't argue with anything about it. It's just more of a matter of finding generational players and matching up. Because I could have gone all 1920s players, 1950s, I could have done it all. It's really easy with this franchise. It's just at some point you got to draw the line somewhere.
Which team is going to have the David Aardsma on the Mount Rushmore? That's what I want to know. Is it you're going to be on the Mariners?
The Rice
Where
Owls.
are you putting yourself?
The Rice Owls.
The Rice Owls. Well, that's pretty
here's my thing. So Shoeless Joe. So this is why he doesn't jump out as a White Sox. We know him as a White Sox. We know him from the Black Sox scandal. That's really where we know him. We know him from should be a Hall of Famer over the course of his career, 356 batting average. The dude was incredible. It's just that he played almost half his career in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So he's a White Sox because we know of the scandal, but he's a baseball player. And that's his best years were in Cleveland. So that's, to me, but he didn't even play long enough to be Cleveland's stuff. So it's like we get there and that's where some of these guys that can't be on the Mount Rushmore just because they're great, they can't be on the Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Is there anybody on the current team that could possibly make it? Make a case. I mean, I can't.
So for me, for my money, there's one player to even have a conversation about, and that's Andrew Vaughn. And it's got nothing to do with, again, I actually originally wrote none for my line, but let me put it this way. If the guy had 21 home runs in 23, he's averaging right around 20 home runs a year. If he is a power guy, if he can figure that out a little bit, start inching those numbers up a little bit, get stronger, get a little bit more back control there, you're going to see somebody who might be able to get into the 30s and 40s. If he can do that over a course of years, there's an opportunity there. But at the end of the day, the reality is he's been in the league for 4 years, and he hasn't quite figured it out. He had 271 year with a 429 slug a couple years. There's some promise there, but we got to see something turn if there's ever a chance to be a historic player. But right now, no. I mean, Luis Roberts Jr. is the best player on the team.
I was going to say, you could make the same exact analogy for Lou Bob.
Yeah, I look at there and go, Luis Roberts, best player, but again, there's nothing that he's going to do that stands out. And he's a little older. To me, I think Andrew Vaughn has a little bit more of a chance to jump out there. But again, like, no one. It's just not a franchise, just not in that place right now. Again, if Andrew Vaughn turns it on or Luis Robert Jr. turns it on and goes crazy for the next 10 years, there's a conversation. They're not even on the list yet. If they hit 30 home runs a year or goes out there and hits 300 for the next 10 years straight, there's a conversation to even be on this list, let alone like, a lot of franchises that would just, yeah, you're good, you're in. But this would just be you'd even just have a conversation. And that's still like, that would put them at 36 and all of a sudden they have to figure something out. So sorry, I talk long.
He'll be traded this year anyway. Somebody will grab him. All right. Well, that was a fun show. We covered quite a bit. But before we go, I want to remind you one more time, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. Tell David why I am always right and he's always wrong, why my hair is better than having no hair. And also make sure you check out the newest episodes of Ask Clippy Jones. Clippopotamus Jones doing a wonderful job talking about the NBA. We are not just baseball here. And we have Rookies to Relics now, which I posted my new episode last night where I talk about a couple of my favorite cards and which guys you should buy. So we got fun. And if you ever see any cards that I mentioned that you want to buy, reach out. Everything is for sale. I'll even sell David. I'm getting about 26 cents a pound. What was that, David? I'm sorry.
Been sold before.
You have been sold before. I heard about that slave auction with your wife. That being said, I'm James the Greek. He's David Aardsma. Talk to you next week, guys. Thanks a lot.